They want you to think that last night's losses mean nothing. MAGA is falling apart when you really understand what happened last night. They lost everything, but they want you to believe that none of it means anything. I was wondering, what line are they going to go with after they lost everything last night? And it quickly became obvious what they were going to go with. Democrats won in blue states. It doesn't really matter. When blue cities vote for Democrats, it doesn't really say anything about the country. A leftist won in New York City. Democratic governors won in Democratic states. New Jersey's blue, a Democrat won. Who cares? Now, you might be saying, well, what about Virginia? And you're thinking along the right lines, but we're going to get back to that. Here's a couple of examples. Here is Ari Fleischer, former White House press secretary to, I guess, George W. Bush, if I recall correctly. Here he is, and there's sort of a new look Kellyanne Conway here. Anyway, Ari Fleischer said the following.
Ari Fleischer, let's get your take on tonight.
Well, blue states are blue states, and that's why the Democrats won tonight. But
there it is. Blue states are blue states, and that's why Democrats won tonight. Jesse Waters on Fox News, basically going with the exact same idea.
On the table with you.
Thanks for having me.
The Democrats are going to spin this. This is a referendum on Trump. I mean, these are all blue states, is it?
This is wildly, wildly wrong. Now, if they want to go with that, they can do that at their peril. But let's go through it one by one. New York City mayor's race, it's usually a Democrat. Not always, but it's usually a Democrat. When it's a Republican, it's someone like a Bloomberg who's, kind of center. Sometimes in some ways, he's almost center left, but a centrist of sorts. And in New York City, the Democratic nominee won. Fine. I acknowledge that New York City is an N of one. It's a completely unique place. What happens there might have a bearing on the country or it might not. But hold on a second. Virginia is not a blue state. Virginia has a Republican governor right now. And in 2021, Republican Glenn Youngkin won that race by 1.9. And yesterday, the Democrat, Abigail Spanberger, won by more than 15. That is a 17-point swing. To write that off as Democrats voting in blue states, Republican +2 to Democrat +15, and your takeaway is blue states voting for Democrats, that is a dangerous takeaway. But if that's the takeaway they want, go, but have at it, Haas. Have at it. What about New Jersey? Well, New Jersey is a blue state. That's true. But New Jersey does sometimes vote for Republican governors. They had Chris Christie, for example. But the margin really matters here because 4 years ago in 2021, Phil Murphy, the current governor, won by 3 over Jack Ciattarelli. Same Republican who ran this time. And then last night, Democrat Mikey Sherrill defeated the same Ciattarelli by 13. Think about that. Same state, same opponent, 3-point win 4 years ago, 15-point win this time. Dems voting for Dems in a blue state. Okay, but that margin shift is hugely meaningful. Now, meanwhile, look at Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is a swing state. They voted to retain their Democratic judges who were on the ballot on that court by massive, massive margins. That's a state that Trump won in 2024. And then just look at Georgia, not a blue state, where multiple Republican incumbents were kicked out by Democrats. Georgia Public Service Commissioner 2 special election, Alicia Johnson defeated the incumbent Republican. Georgia Public Service Commissioner 3 special election, Democrat Pete Hubbard defeated incumbent Fitz Johnson. So if their takeaway is none of this means anything because it's blue states voting blue, you really are going to do that at your own risk. And I don't think 2026 is going to go well. Republicans seemingly unwilling to acknowledge that Trump does bear some responsibility for their losses. I don't often praise Vivek Ramaswamy. At least he's acknowledging they got their ass handed to them.
We got our asses handed to us in New Jersey, Virginia, and New York City. Democrats swept all 3. There's 2 key lessons for Republicans. Listen carefully. Number 1, our side needs to focus on affordability. Make the American dream affordable. Bring down costs.
I thought Trump did do that already, though. Wait.
Electric costs, grocery costs, healthcare costs and housing costs, and lay out how we're going to do it. And number two, cut out the identity politics. It doesn't suit Republicans. It's not for us. That's the woke left's game, not ours.
You know why Vivek? Oh my God, this is so fascinating. Do you know why Vivek now is saying we've got to cut the identity politics? It's because he is now the victim of that. Just weeks ago, Vivek, who is running for governor of Ohio, who's welcome to come back on the show anytime. He's been on twice. He told me I had the viscosity of sanctimony last time he was on. He's welcome anytime. Vivek was hit by the monster he created because at an event, the Turning Point Charlie Kirk disciple said, "You're Hindu. We need Christianity in this country." So all of a sudden, Vivek is getting hit by Republican identity politics. That's why he's saying, oh, we got to get away from it. But at least he's acknowledging that they genuinely did lose. If Republicans want to insist last night was nothing more than Democrats winning in blue states, they're going to get crushed in 2026. Leave a comment, leave a like if you're watching on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. 26 is starting now. We're going to talk about that after the break. When I was preparing for my last trip to Italy, I didn't want to spend weeks and weeks trying to learn Italian with the typical apps where you get, flashcards and games and it doesn't really translate to talking to people. And this is why I turned to our sponsor, Babbel. This is a method that works and it works quickly. And what really stood out to me was just how personalized Babbel feels. The app was instantly adjusted to my level. I wasn't wasting time on things I already knew. And the review system is really good at making sure that things stick. Babbel's lessons come in 10 to 15-minute chunks. I fit that easily into my schedule. I saw the progress. Before I knew it, I was ordering a cappuccino and their version of a croissant. It's a cornetto. Anyway, I was impressing everybody. People loved it. Babbel is not just about memorization. It uses interactive dialogue, spaced repetition, tips that make the learning feel way more natural. And my audience can get up to 55% off at babbel.com/Pakman. The link is in the description.